Hi, this is Hardball Retro. Welcome to the Retrodome. We will be doing a quick tutorial today to show you how I import seasons into Earl Weaver Baseball version 1.5 using the SeasonTool utility, which was created by Daniel Gunther. I believe it was back in the early 2000s. I have uploaded this utility to my Facebook group, which is Old Computer Baseball Simulations. So if you join that group and go to the Files section, you will locate the SeasonTool 1901 through 2003 zip file. And you'll also need a copy of the layman database, which is in that file section as well, which is basically covering the same years, 1901 to 2003. So if you want anything past 2003, I don't have a solution for you other than to enter that data manually at this point. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing is I extract the SeasonTool zip file into a subfolder of my Earl Weaver Baseball 1.5. So I called it SeasonTool. When you're in DOSBox, it's going to be season and then tilde and 1. So I change the directory and go in there in DOSBox. The first thing you're going to do is type in import and the season that you want to import. So I'm going to do 1941 for this tutorial. Basically, you just type in the year here. So anything from 1901 through 2003 should work here. All right, press enter. And it says it's importing now. And you can increase the CPU cycles in DOSBox to speed this up a little bit. So by default, I opened DOSBox and it was 3,000 cycles. So I'm going to ramp this up. Let's get it to, I don't know, say 20,000 cycles. You can go higher if your processor can handle it. I've got other things running in the background here, so I think 20,000 is a fair amount here. So you're not going to see much on the screen now. It's basically crunching through the layman database to pull that information in. And there's several steps involved with the SeasonTool process to create the players.dat league name.dat file that you need for your Earl Weaver Baseball 1.5. Now, once we're done with this, you can then run, if you have Earl Weaver Baseball 2, you can run the EWB2CONV, basically Earl Weaver Baseball 2 conversion program, and it will convert your 1.5 season disk into one that'll run on Earl Weaver 2. I haven't tried that with this, but it should work. I've done it in the past, so. All right, so now it just cleared the screen. It's going to put some dots up on the screen as it's working here. And if this process takes a while, I'll probably pause here and then resume the video when we get to the next step. Yeah. So I think that's what I'm going to do, because this just sits here and puts dots on the screen. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so, but I think we're going to be going through this for a bit. I just wanted to get to the next prompt, so you see. There we go. So you can see that it's processing. So it's going to count up to all of the players in the 1941 season here. And then it's going to process some more. All right, so it got to 546. This will take a few minutes. Let me see if my processor, I don't think my processor can handle too much more of an increase on the DOSBox CPU cycles. So again, it's Control F12 to increase, Control F11 to decrease in DOSBox. And you'll see on the top of the screen, I know you don't see it in the video here, but you'll see it at the top of the DOSBox window. It'll show you how many cycles. And as your Control F12, Control F11, it'll show those cycles increasing or decreasing. All right, preparing fielding stats. Okay, outfield stats. All right, so this part here, this will take longer. This part does take several minutes, I believe, even if I bump the cycles up, which I can try to do that a little bit more here. Let's see. Okay, bumped it up to 32,000 cycles. But I don't think that really increased the speed of what it's doing that greatly. All right, so I'm going to come back when this is done. We'll do the next step. Okay, so that took about maybe 10 minutes or so to complete. So you can see it gets to the end of all the dots here, all the points, periods, whatever you want to call them, right? It says 16 teams found, and then gives you the list of team abbreviations, sorting the player file, hit any key to continue. And you hit the space bar or whatever key, then it says done, and you're back at the prompt. So our next step is to run draft, or draft.exe, right? Draft. All right, and now we have a list of players on each team. All right, we start out with the Washington Senators here. And right now, I believe you can see my cursor highlighting here. Let me move my DOSBox window a little bit here. Okay. So you can see Senators, 0 of 25 players selected, 0 batters selected. All right. And right now, you see a little hyphen next to Evans over here, A. Evans. So what I'm going to do is, let's bring up the help file first so you can see what the purpose of this draft program is. All right. H for help. All right. So we're going to select 25-man roster for all the teams in the league. The teams and all the players are shown in a list on the left of the screen. You can select or unselect players with the space bar. Simply scroll up and down the list using the following keys. A scrolls up by one player. Z or Y scrolls one player down. I use the A and the Z key just because they're near each other on the keyboard. And then if you want to go 15 players up or down, you use the S and the X key. S for up, X for down. Also right next to the A and Z, so they're easy to reach. All right, continue with the help file. After you selected a few players, you can look at a roster of the current team by hitting the R, roster position assignment. I don't usually do that until I've selected all of the 25 players on each team. Before you get to the roster, you find the 3-letter name of the current team on the right of the screen, together with the info about how many players, batters, pitchers you are already assigned to play. You will be asked to define the positions of each player you selected and who played 2 or more positions during the year 1941. I'm guessing that number or that year changes depending on what year you've imported. So that's pretty cool. This only happens once per player. The data will be saved until you import a second or third season. Select a position with the spacebar and go up and down a position again with the A and Z keys, or Y. Program shows a roster of all selected players of the current team. T will show you a list of teams that were already edited or looked at. It will also show you the number of players on those teams. So when we're all done selecting players and assigning their primary and secondary positions, then we're going to press E to export the data. Let's see. Program only assigns positions automatically to players who have played one single position during the year. You may have to assign positions to players before you export. Other commands are C to unselect all players. I've never done that, but it's there if you need it. And P to reassign a position of a player. That I've done when I've made a mistake in selecting. Maybe I selected their secondary position as the primary, or I hit the wrong key, and maybe I hit, when you're selecting the secondary position, you can hit Q to ignore the secondary position. I've done that on a handful of occasions where I wanted to actually select the primary and secondary position for a player. So I simply just arrow up or down, find that player, press P, and then I reassign the position just for that player. All right, this will make a little more sense when I start to do it here. All right, so let's go to Washington. I'm using the A key to arrow up to the top here. All right. Generally, what I do is I will select anybody with more than 20 at-bats or maybe 10, 15 innings. And then if I'm missing a couple players, I'll go back and add them in. All right, so I'm going to skip this guy. I'm going to select Archie here. So I press the space bar because he has 408 at-bats. Right. So, all right, so now you can see to the left of their name that they're selected. Over here, there's a little mark next to them. Yeah, there's an X there. And then up here, where the team is, now it says I've selected 2 batters. I've selected 2 players out of 25. All right, so we'll just continue on down the list here. Bolton only has 11 at-bats. I'm going to skip him for now. Case, Kramer, Early, Evans, Lane, Lewis, Meyer, Ortiz, Pofall. My apologies if I mispronounce any of these names. I'm not superly familiar with some of these, especially some of the more obscure players here. So go with that. All right, so right now you can now see I'm getting with this number here. This is obviously pitchers because it has thirds of an inning. And up here, you can see I've selected 15 out of 25 players. So just to clarify, Earl Weaver Baseball 1.5 does not have any room for reserve players. You select a 25-man roster, and that's who you have. When you use Earl Weaver Baseball 2, you do have expanded rosters. You do have reserves. The only problem is SeasonTool was built for version 1.5, so if you want to add reserves to Earl Weaver 2, you would need to enter those players manually. There's just no way to get these extra players in there that I'm aware of. All right, let's continue on down. Let's select our pitchers for Washington. We got Chase, Hudson, Kennedy, Leonard, Sundra, Zuber. All right, these guys are all up over 90 innings here. All right, I've got 23 out of 25. And I'm going to pick Masterson, and early win, and I now have 25. I have 15 batters, and I have 25 out of 25 selected for Washington. So now I can tab down to the SLA, which is the St. Louis Browns. The A is for the American League St. Louis team. SLN would be St. Louis National, which is the Cardinals. All right, so same deal here. Right now it tells me I have 0 of 25 selected. I'm going to do this. I don't know if I'll show you this for every team. I'll probably just skip ahead in the video, and I'll do one more here just so you're getting the idea of what I'm doing here. All right, this guy, 39 at-bats. We're going to take him for now. If we have to deselect him, we'll come back. Again, I'm just using spacebar to select. I'm using Z to skip down to the next player after I do that. All right, McQuillan, we're going to skip him for now. Vern Stevens, 2 at-bats. Doesn't make the team. All right, this guy with 112 makes it. Swift makes it. All right, so we've got 14 batters. And now we'll pick the pitchers, and we'll see if we have any gaps left over. Oops, I missed Allen. Let's go back and pick him. Okay. There. All right, 25 out of 25. Perfect. All right. Well, this isn't taking too long, so per team, so I'll just go ahead and plow through this. If I feel like we're getting bogged down, I'll stop, pause the video. Just want to see if we come across any teams where I've got to go back and select or deselect somebody. All right, so all these guys less than 20 at-bats, we're going to skip for now. It just seems like, in my experience so far, that's been a decent cutoff point. All right, skip down here. There we go. I have 16 batters, so I might have to deselect somebody. Let's see how our pitching shakes out here. And again, this is for Cleveland, 1941. All right, 11 innings we're going to skip for now. All right, let's do this. Okay, so right now you can see we have 26 out of 25, which it's not going to allow us to export if we have too many players. So now I got to arrow back up. You know what? Let's do so we can move up or down 15 players at a time. So I want to move up. Let's go to, that's the S key, like Sam. All right, there we go. All right, now I am at the top of Cleveland again. So let's just go back through the batters. Let's see if there's anybody that I selected that's in the, I don't know. Let's see how many at-bats for the lowest players. So far it's Edwards here with 68. Now we got Hegan, 47 at-bats. He is a catcher. So I like having a extra catcher. I'm thinking we'll keep him. Peters, 63. All right, so I think what we're going to do is we're just going to deselect Gromik with 23 innings here. He's our lowest on the pitching side. All right, Mr. Gromik. So I'm on him right now. I'm going to space bar. That'll get rid of the X next to his name. And we're back to 25 out of 25. Cool. Next team, White Sox. All right. Hopefully you're starting to get the hang of what I'm doing here. We're basically, right now, this step is just selecting the 25 players that we're going to import for each team, or that we're basically drafting them onto the teams now, right? Okay. Thornton Lee, 300 innings. All right. I need 4 pitchers. It looks like this is going to work out great here. Bingo. Okay. Move on to the athletics. So you probably have the idea here. So I think I'll pause the video here. I'll come back when we're going to be selecting the positions. All right. Okay, so I've reached the bottom of the list. And now what I need to do is assign the primary and secondary positions for any players that played multiple positions. So in order to do that, I can do this anywhere here. You can see I can toggle up and down. I can do whatever, but basically wherever I start is going to be, you can see here I'm on the Cubs. CHN is Chicago National. So I'm on the Cubs right now. So if I press R, all right, this should prompt me with a player that needs to be assigned a position. There we go. So Phil Cavaretta. And what I do, you won't see this because I'm focused only on my DOSBox screen right now. But I have a browser tab open to Baseball Reference and the 1941 Cubs. All right, so what I would do here is for Cavaretta, I look at the 41 Cubs page at Baseball Reference, and over on the right-hand side, just before the awards column, is the position column. So when I look at Cavaretta, it says 83H/79. So that means his primary position is center field, but he also played first base, left field, and right field. So what I'm going to do here, let me bring up the right window here. There we go. All right, so I'm going to use the A and Z. You can see I'm moving this, the cursor moves to select whichever position I want to assign as the first position. I press spacebar, okay, and now you can see down in this window, I have an option to select O for outfield, L for left, C for center field, R for right field. All right, for Cavaretta, since he played all 3 positions, even though his primary was center, I'm going to select him so that he can play anywhere in the outfield. So O for OF. All right. And then you can see here it says Q for no second position. I don't want to press that in this case because his second position is going to be first base. All right. So I'm on the first base option. I'm going to hit spacebar. All right. So Cavaretta, primary position is OF, secondary is first base. It moves me to the next player on the list with multiple positions for the Cubs, which is Babe Dahlgren. This one, again, I'm looking primarily at the games column here. All right, so first base, I'm just going to hit spacebar, and it brings me down to the next one, which is third base. I'm going to hit space again, so he's first, third. All right, Dom D'Alessandro. You can see the name gets truncated there. Not sure. I think it's a 12-character limit, something like that. Anyway, so looking at the Baseball Reference page, he plays left and center. So what I'm going to do is hit space, and I'm going to do L for left, and then I'm going to hit space and hit C for center. All right, Augie Gallen. Let's see. He can play every outfield position, but he's primarily left field. So again, spacebar, L for left, spacebar, O for OF. All right, Charlie Gilbert. Okay, he's 8 and 9. So center field, right field. All right, Stan Hack, third base, first base. All right, so here's this is a new option here as far as where we're what we've reviewed so far in the tutorial. So Johnny Hudson has 3 positions. His primary is shortstop because he has 17 games there. All right, so I'm going to hit space for shortstop. But instead of selecting second or third, I'm going to select infield, IF. There we go. I like to specify the primary position in that case so that the game will attempt to use him primarily at short, but that he can fill in the other positions. All right, Hank Lieber, OF first base. Well, where did he play in the outfield? He played everywhere in the outfield. So we're just going to make him an outfield first baseman. O for OF and spacebar for first base. All right, Bill Nicholson. He is a 9 and a 7. So 9 for right field. And then 7, which is left field, that's an L here. Okay. Sorry, when I said 9 for right field, that means an R. Lou Novikov is a 7 and a 9. So we go spacebar L, spacebar R. Barney Olson. Looking him up. He's center fielder exclusively. All right, so we'll get to use our Q option here, right? So we select C for center field, and he has no second position. We're going to hit Q. Lou Stringer, second base, shortstop. Bobby Sturgeon, shortstop, IF. All right, then it's going to print out our roster. You can see over here our selections. All right, and then if we hit spacebar, it's going to show us our pitchers here. Okay. Hit any key to return. All right, so we're done with the Cubs, but we are not done here because we have to do every team. So we're going to use the S key to scroll up here, 15 players at a time, until we land on any player on the next team, which is the Phillies. And we're going to repeat the process. I'll do one more of these, and then I'll, again, kind of fast forward in the video here to the next step. But let's do this one. So as long as we're on the Phillies, we press R. And in the background, I'm going to bring up 1941 Phillies on Baseball Reference. And I'm going to scroll down to standard batting on Baseball Reference and look at my positions again for the offensive players. All right, Stan Benjamin is the first one up here. Stan is looks like he can play anywhere in the outfield. He's primarily a right fielder, but he can play anywhere. So we're going to assign him as an outfielder. OF. Now, we could give him infield, which is what I think I want to do here. Which would potentially allow Earl to play him at shortstop, but I'm kind of okay with that because he's played everywhere else in the infield, right? Maybe not a lot, but he has played there. So I'm going to go give him an OFIF. All right, Bobby Bragan, shortstop, IF. Chuck Klein. Chuck is a right field, left field. So RL. Danny Litwiller. 79. Is it Litweiler? I'm not sure. Left field, right field. Mickey Livingston, catcher, first base. Okay. And who's up next? Harry Marney. Harry is a second base infield. Joe Marty. Joe is an 8 and a 9. So he is center field, right field. Got some construction going on behind our home here, so if you hear any noise like a backhoe or whatever they're doing over there, I apologize. All right, so here's an interesting case. Mueller, second, third, and OF. Let's look up his OF here. I'm just curious if he's played all over the outfield, because then we might consider an IF-OF situation, but let's see. Baseball Reference says, and they list him as Emmett Mueller, not Heine Mueller. So, okay, 4.95. A little bit of a conundrum here because we can only pick two positions. So I'm going to give him infield, outfield. Again, he's never played shortstop in this season. And he actually only played right field, so we can do that. All right, Danny Murtaugh, Bill Nagel. Got 2 games at OF. Let's see. Left fielder. Okay. Johnny Rizzo, OF third base. Let's see. He can play anywhere in the OF. All right, here's our printout. And then we'll go, I'll continue on and return to the video when I'm done, and we'll do the next step. So let's do this. Okay, so I've assigned all of the players primary and secondary positions. So it is now time to hit the E key to export. And so we can see up on the top here that every team has 25 out of 25 players assigned. And let's see. All right, and right here where it says team, we're going to see that kind of cycle through each team here. I think it's going to go in this, the top row, second row, third row, fourth row, in that order. So we should see Chicago American League, Philadelphia A's up after that. Yep, there we go. And I've cranked up the CPU speed in DOSBox, so this should go relatively quickly. This basically preps it preps some log files within SeasonTool, and then it's going to drop us to the command prompt. We're going to type in export. We're going to run export.exe, and that's going to create the players.dat and the other files, the other associated files. So let's just sit tight and wait for this to complete. It's got a few more to go. I'm just going to check my notes here to see what we do after that. Yeah, we're going to run export.exe. It's going to create players.dat, parks.dat, and leaguename.dat. And then we're going to copy those files into my Earl Weaver Baseball 1.5 folder. And then we're going to fix a couple issues where SeasonTool places the team in the wrong division. So they should all, especially these teams in the 1901 through, let's say, 1968. They should all be in one division in the American League, one division in the National League. So for some reason, it drops a couple teams into the second division here. So we're going to correct that. All right, we're up to the Phillies, then we have the Cubs, and that should do it. So this should bring us back to the command prompt momentarily. There we go. Okay, it tells us simply run export.exe in the program directory to export the data. 16 teams are ready for export. Hit any key. Did that. Okay, export, enter. Exporting now. Okay, there's our 3 files. Wait for it to come back to the prompt here. Then I've got to copy those files into my Earl Weaver Baseball 1.5 folder when this is done. All right, let's see here. We are, okay, our export is done. Off camera here, I'm going to copy those 3 files. That's in here. Sorry, you won't see this, but just have to trust me that I'm copying them from my SeasonTool folder into my Earl Weaver 1.5 folder. Okay, boom, boom, boom. And copy, paste. All right, and we're there. Okay, great. Now, just double check my notes again. We are going into, yes, we have to go into the game itself. All right, so gotta go back one directory, go here, and we're going to do Weaver E for EGA graphics. We're going to skip the intro there, go right here, and I'm going down to the, wait a minute, let's see, is it Commissioner? Hold on, got Commissioner here. Customize teams. Okay, yep, I remember now. All right, go into Commissioner, customize teams. All right, and you can see Division 2, it dropped a couple teams there. In the American League and on the National League side, it dropped 4 teams. Don't know why it does that, but we're going to correct it here. So I like to do fill-A for the athletics. And I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to change this guy first to CHW. And I'm going to create Chicago A over here. Not worried about the stadium. I know it says Wrigley Field. Not worried about that right now. St. Louis A. Guess while we're here, let's fix this. This is going to be Boston A for American League. Cleveland, Detroit, Washington, because it gets truncated there. New York A. Okay. And all right. And over here, Chicago N. We got to do St. Louis N. St. Louis N. Okay. This is going to be Phil N. All right. Now we have Boston National. We have Cincinnati. Again, not enough letters there. Got to take the A out of it. We have New York N. And Brooklyn. There we go. All right. Finished for now. All right. So get out of the commissioner part there. General manager. All right. So I'm not going to do all of these right now. I'm just going to show you what I need to do. Right. So I've had issues with there is a copy team function, but with the way that the path is set up and DOS, it's not allowing me to select the data disk properly. So what I came up with is I pick the new team that I created here. So let's start with this guy, Philadelphia Athletics. All right, it's a blank. There's no players there, right? And over here, I'm going to select this guy because this is the one I want to copy the players from. Basically, want to copy from PHA into Phil-A. All right. And then when I'm done, PHA is going to be empty, and I can just delete that team. All right. And I wish there was an easier way to do this, but this is how I do it. So basically here, you just enter and enter again. And you can select that one, enter there. So basically just enter, arrow over twice, enter, go down one, enter, arrow over twice, enter, and you can see what I'm doing here. Basically, just moving these guys from PHA over to Phil-A team. Okay, and so far so good. All right, Potter here. And I arrowed over too far, so I'm just going to swap those guys. I'll do this. There we go. Might be because I have the CPU speed cranked up, but sometimes it arrows too far. Just have to keep your eye on that. So I like to keep all the pictures in that second column here. All right, so everybody's on Phil-A now. PHA is empty. I'm going to hit F10 for finished. There we go. Save changes. Yes. Yes to both teams. All right. And then I'm going to select this guy. Go. Select CHW. All right. And I'm going to do the same thing. Oops. All right, you get the gist of what I'm doing here. So when I'm done, I'm just going to hop out of here for 1 second. F10, I can come back to this, so that's fine. Go here. All right. Yeah, so when I'm done, I'm going to delete these two guys out. I'm going to delete these four. All right, so I'm going to pause the video here. I'll come back. I'll show you how to delete those guys, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so I've moved all the players to the new teams that I created in the correct division. So my next step is to delete the teams that are empty now. Let's go in here, customize teams. All right, so the teams with the 3 initials are the ones that I'm going to want to get rid of here. So just highlight the first one, enter, and all we're doing is where the name is, hitting enter, putting 1 space in there, hit enter, hit finished. Same deal here, enter, 1 space, finished. All right, so now that division is empty. And the same thing here. And so forth. All right, there we go. All right, now we have 1 American League division, 1 National League division. So we're good to go there. Next step, hit finish there, is we want to actually, we're going to close this window. And now we're going to customize the parks, but not from here. We're going to do it through the commissioner's disk, because I'll go into this one. Let's just take a look here. So there are a few additional features in the commissioner stadium editor. I don't necessarily use them, but they're there. So anyway, I like to edit the stadiums from the commissioner. So let's get out of this. Okay, exit. All right, and I'm just going to close DOSBox here. All right, and I'm going to fire up the DOSBox for Earl Weaver Baseball 1.5 that I have here, which you won't see. All right, and is that going to show up here in the... No, it's not. So I'm going to close the video and come back in. Bear with me here. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. All right, and now we're going to go to Advanced Ballpark Editor on the Commissioner's Disk 1.5. Okay. So this has all of it. It basically generates all the parks that came with the game originally. So I'm going to want to clear out everything in Division 2 first of all. I want these to be empty. If you have a parks.dat file from the season prior to the one that you just imported, my advice would be to make a copy of that file, and then you'll probably have minimal changes to make. Copy that, paste it into your Earl Weaver 1.5 directory, and then it should have all of the parks. Let's say this was, well, we're doing 1941, so let's say I had the 1940 season. I would just copy the parks.dat file from my 1940 season into the Earl Weaver Baseball 1.5 folder, and then when I launch the game or launch Commissioner's Disk, I could edit those parks, and just if there's a couple minor tweaks to the fence height, outfield distances, or if a new park opened that year, this is where you would make those changes here. So, all right, basically, so for all of these, we're going to tab up to the top, up to name. We're going to wipe out the name, and then we're going to F8 to save. All right, and now that stadium is gone. Same thing, one space, F8, done. So this process is relatively quick, so I'll keep it on the video. Oh, hit the space bar. Just showed you what the Metrodome looked like. All right. Space, there we go. And once I'm done with this, I'm going to be using the Seamheads ballpark database to look up the information. So what I do, you won't see that again because I'm only capturing my DOSBox screen here. You won't see that. But what I'm doing is I'm browsing to the database, selecting a specific year, and then on Baseball Reference, I look up the team and just confirm what ballpark they were in. Especially for the older years, a lot of the ballparks changed, maybe not from year to year, but they weren't open all that long. Some of them burned down. Number of different reasons why the ballparks didn't last as long as they did. Yeah, some of them were like wooden construction. All right, looks like my window temporarily locked up here. So let's give this a second. There we go. I think I just tapped out of it. Okay. All right, cool. Oh, I don't know why I deleted Wrigley. Well, here's the nice thing. It's really not deleted. It's just blank name. I can just do that. So that's actually maybe helpful to some folks. You're not really deleting the stadium. You're just clearing out the name, but it looks like there's no stadium there. And when we're done with this, we have to associate the stadium with the team, so with each team. So let's go in here. I didn't want to go out of that. All right, I want to arrow up here, clear this. And Riverfront. And I'm not going to edit, again, I'm not going to edit all the stadiums here. I'm just going to do a handful of these. Got stuck again. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Apologize. This is kind of boring, but it has to be done. And I could do it off camera, but it's not going to save us a whole ton of time. So decided to just leave it in here. All right. And now my DOSBox stopped responding. There we go. We're back. I just have too many things open as usual. Almost done with this part. Then we'll get to the interesting part, which is configuring the stadiums. All right, get rid of Mirage Stadium, and then we can start editing these other ones. Because again, this looks like it's 1987-ish time frame, looks like. Yeah, we still have Exhibition Stadium. So 1987, I would say, somewhere around there. All right, anyway, One thing we want to do here, you don't have to, but I like to line up the stadiums with the teams. So if I hit F10 here, and if I go to League Editor, all right, so St. Louis American League is the first team on the list. All right, so go back to Ballpark Editor. This is going to be St. Louis's stadium, which is probably Sportsman Park, but let me look it up and double check. So we got 1941 Browns, Sportsman Park 3, and I'm going to bring up the Seamheads Ballpark database in another tab here. Okay. Thank you to Kevin Johnson and Dan Hirsch. I'm sure there are others involved with this, but those are the two names that pop up when I do a search on this. All right. So basically, you bring up Ballpark's database. You can click on, near the top, there's a menu. I click on years. I scroll down to 1941. Okay, 1941 season. I find Sportsman Park 3. Sorry, you can't see this on your screen. Sportsman Park 3, and then I look for 1941 for Sportsman Park 3, and I align my DOSBox window a little bit above that, so I'm only looking at 1941. All right. Okay, so let's give it a name. Sportsman. I don't think Park and 3 is going to fit, so I think I just did Sportsman 3 like that. Okay. Natural outdoors bleachers. So I like to go to, what's the name of that website here? Ballparks of Baseball, past ballparks. And then I'm going to click on Sportsman's Park. All right. And then they have photos and they have a detailed history of the ballpark. So it'll tell you when they added seats. It says 1925, the grandstands were double decked to both foul poles. And the bleachers in right field were covered. Let's see. Okay, there were more renovations, but that was in 1953, so we're going to ignore that. And then there are a bunch of pictures at the bottom, so you can look at the photos, and you can kind of get a sense to where the bleachers were, where the double-decked stands were in the outfield, and so forth. And the only reason that comes into play here is, let me go back to this other screen here. Okay, so over here, bleachers in left, center, and right. So let's do one. If I'm incorrect here, it doesn't really matter. It's just for when you're viewing the game. It's the aesthetics of the game. And I've got to bring back up my Seamheads Ballpark database. There we go. Okay, so capacity, it only gives you 4 options here. The capacity that year was 30,611, so I'm just going to select that. I don't think this really makes any difference for anything. The wall heights. This only gives me 3 wall heights. It gives me 12 in left. It gives me 12 in center, so I'm just going to make assumptions that these are also 12. I don't know that for a fact. All right. And then it doesn't give me a right center field number, but it does tell me that right field is 33. So what I might do is go 33 here. All right. And that'll be a 12. All right. So if that makes sense, just kind of split the difference. Sometimes I'll maybe do like something so the wall increments like maybe 12, 18, 24, 33, something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to go over to wind mile per hour and wind direction. I don't really mess with this too much. I usually give every outdoor ballpark like a 3 or a 4, other than I think the Chicago ones and probably Candlestick. The numbers would be higher, maybe a couple others. So I don't know. Let's give it a 3. That I don't care about. Wind normal, sure. Ballpark color, I don't really mess with. Foul area, I don't really mess with. Okay, distances, that's 351 down the line. So I've got a 379 in left center, which I call left 3 here. So 379. So here's another place where I'll split the difference. I'll show you in a second here. I'm just going to fill in the numbers that I have. Center field, 422 to center. I have 354 to right center, and I have 310 down the right field line. All right, so here, 379 minus 351 is 28, so I split the difference, call that 365. 379 to 422, that's going to be 21, 22, that's 43. Split the difference, we'll call it 400. 422 to 354, so that is 46 and 22, 68, half of 68, 34, 388. And here, 44, so 22, 332. All right, and do a save. All right, now we have Sportsman 3. Go back in there, I can look at the park if I want now. And there you go, there's that 33-foot wall in right field. All right. Now, if you wanted to, you can tweak the amount of foul grounds. I'm not getting that deep into the weeds here, but feel free to make those adjustments if you wish. Play with the wind speed, wind direction, all that fun stuff. All right. So I've got to go through and do all 16 stadiums here because, well, let's do Fenway. Let's do Fenway because Fenway is going to be maybe just some minor tweaks, right? Actually, let's not assume that Fenway is there. Let's check our league division editor, and actually it is. Yep, Boston is there. Boston is in the second slot. So, go back here, Fenway. All right, natural outdoors, bleachers. All right, let's bring it up on the ballpark database. Scroll down to 41. That's Ted Williams' 406 batting average season. We've got 33,200, so we'll leave capacity the same there. We've got a 37 in left. We've got an 18 in left center. I'm going to leave this. I don't like the 12 there. I'm going to go with 37, 37. Then I've got an 18 in left center. I've got a 9 in center. Right field, I've got a 5. Sorry, right center I have 5, and right field I have 3. All right, let's look it down the line. I've got 310. I have 379 in left center. 379. So we're going to split the difference here. We'll call that 345. That may not be exact. Not overly concerned there. 388. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just want to see what those numbers are. Left center, center, right center. Okay. I scrolled too far on my baseball, my ballpark database there. There we go. I'm back. Left center, center, right center, 420. I have a 380. 382. I have a 304. All right. Foul area, color, wind, miles an hour. I'll leave all that. Save it. Let's look at Fenway. Look at Park. And there's Fenway. Okay. All right. Yep. It's got the little indents here, different places. Got the monster. Good to go. All right. So now I've got to do the rest of these. And let's see. Let me just check my notes here. When we come back, when I'm done with that, what do we got to do after that? Edit the ballparks. Then we have to assign the ballparks to each team. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause here. Come back in a moment. All right. Got all the ballparks configured. Now I have to assign a ballpark to each team. So I go back into the main program. And I arrow down to Commissioner here. And I go to Customize Teams. Pick a team. St. Louis, you see the stadium is empty here. Sportsman 3. All right. Finished. Boston. Fenway Park. Okay. Cleveland. Cleveland Stadium. Detroit is, that should be Briggs, I think. Let me double check that. I think I need to rename that guy. I forgot to do that. Briggs Stadium, yes. All right, well, let me assign it. Tiger Stadium, okay. Let me get out of this for a second. Customize parks, Tiger Stadium, rename Briggs Stadium. Okay, and F8 to save it. F10 to get out of that. Go back to teams. Let's make sure that's in there. Yep. Okay, good. All right, Washington is Griffith Stadium. Yankees, Yankee Stadium. Philadelphia A's, Shibe. Chicago American League is not Wrigley, it is Comiskey Park. Okay. Chicago NL is Wrigley. And you may be wondering why there's a couple gaps over here. You will see momentarily why that is. St. Louis N is Sportsman. So there's no reason to create Sportsman twice. I can just highlight this guy, Sportsman. All right. So both St. Louis teams played at Sportsman Park in 1941. Pittsburgh, Forbes Field. Okay, we've got another issue here. Not issue, but Philadelphia NL and AL both played at Shibe Park. Okay, Boston NL, Braves Field. Reds, Crosley. Okay, New York N, Giants, Polo Grounds. And last but not least, we have Brooklyn 1941, Ebbets Field. All right. Okay, we've assigned the ballparks to the teams. What else do we need to do here? We did that. Did that. Schedules. Okay. Schedules we do here. We get out of this. And I think I'm going to have to... Yeah. All right. Be pause the video here, be right back. All right, back into Commissioner's Disk. And schedule a league. All right, so we're going to create two schedules. We're going to create one for American, one for National League. So for the first one, American League, you're just going to hit enter on American. It's going to highlight all the teams in the American League. No teams in the National League are highlighted. We're going to hit F10. All right. Total games per team. This is 1941. I'm going to do a 154 game season. We're going to print this to a disk file and print entire schedule. Enter. And we're going to call it 1941 ALSC. You can call it whatever you want, but I just do 1941 ALSC for American League schedule. And I'm going to do 1941 NLSC for National League schedule. All right. So now I did the American League one. Now I can do select different teams. Go over to National, hit enter. You see all of my National League teams are highlighted. F10 to finish. All right, it's already got the 154 that I entered earlier. You can change the random seed. I do that sometimes. I'll just type in a different, type in like yellow 74. Doesn't really matter. And it's just going to randomize what teams are facing what teams. Okay, it says to disk file, good. You can print it to the screen to view it, but it's not going to do anything for you. We want it to actually generate a file here, so that's why I'm selecting disk file. You don't want to do it to printer unless you have a printer hooked up to DOSBox, and I don't know why you would really want to do that, but print entire schedule, F9. I'm going to call it 1941 NLSC, and finished. All right. And you won't see this on your screen, but I'm just going to click into my Earl Weaver Baseball 1.5 directory and make sure that I have those two files there, and I do. All right. Next step, we're going to make a backup copy of all of these files, and I'm going to create a subfolder called 1941. I'm just going to drop all those files in there just in case I need to modify them later, I can. Let's see here. And sorry, you won't see this on your screen. I'm just creating a new folder, 1941, and I'm going to paste the files into there. Cool. Okay, those are there. So now we are actually ready to start our season. Now, you could play these games manually if you wanted. You could go in and do them one game at a time. You could play exhibition games. What I'm going to show you here is from the command line how you would play multiple games in a schedule. So let's get out of Commissioner. All right. And so there's a couple parameters when you type in Weaver. Like if I just want to go into the main program, I just type in Weaver. I do E for EGA. We're not going to do that here. We're going to do Weaver P, and that's to play a schedule. It's going to prompt us for one of those file names. All right. And we're going to do the %, that's for stats game. It doesn't show the full graphics. This is 1941, so this will suffice for what we're doing here. If you were playing a season with a designated hitter in a particular league, you would do this. Weaver space P space D %. All right, and the D just tells the game that you want to use the designated hitter in your lineups. All right, but we're going to do this. Press enter. Gives the little intro screen. Okay, says it's loading. All right, name of the schedule. So let's do the American League one. 1941 ALSC. Enter. Enter the first game day. Well, day 1. All right, number of game days. Now, if I'm going to be simulating multiple games, I usually do like 10 days at a time. So I would put a 10 here. All right, I'm not going to do that now. But I would do 1 through 10, simulate, let everything run through, take a look at the standings, take a look at the accumulated stats, and then I might do 11 through 20, 21 through 30, so forth. Totally your call, what you want to do there. Conceivably, you could do 1 through 154, 1 through 162 if you're playing a 162 game season, whatever the case may be. You may want to increase your CPU cycles in DOSBox to run this a little bit quicker. We're only going to do a 1 here, so we'll just simulate one day's worth of games. And so we're going to just put 1. And here we go, the old code wheel, or the wheel of protection here. This is this is how they copy protected games back in the day. One of the ways they did it. All right, so I have a code wheel here. I have to look up Colt Stadium. There is an Earl Weaver FAQ. I think it's by Demystifier. So if you Google that and scroll down a bit, you'll find all of these codes in there. But I'm old school. I like to look at the wheel because that's how I did it back in the day. So I've got my code wheel here, so I have to find Colt Stadium. Then I have to find section X61 on the inner wheel. Where is Colt Stadium? All right, there's Colt Stadium. There's X61, so I've got those two lined up. And then in the little, there's a space above each section here. Bleacher, luxury box, left field, lower deck, grandstand, reserved, right field, upper deck, and dugout. And it's asking me for the code from right field. And these numbers are tiny. My eyesight is not what it used to be, but I believe it says 19048. Enter. All right, Earl is filling out his lineup cards. You can see we're at Boston here. And we're going to let this game play. And you can see it's going through the first inning here. I'm going to increase the cycles. I don't know if you'll see it getting any quicker or not, but it went from the default CPU cycles when I launched DOSBox were 4,000. Now I'm up to 20,000. And honestly, I don't see a substantial difference here, but all right, so this just sits here and plays the game. All right, you can see the results up here. It'll show you sack hit, 2 strikes. It says out, out. If there's a hit or a walk or anything, it'll show it in here. There's a walk, out. There's a hit, hit, and hit. So you can see who the batter is. Fielder's choice, I just saw. All right, there's a walk. So I'm going to let this cycle through one game. Actually, there's only going to be 4 games on the schedule. So you can fast forward the video if you like, but I'll just let all 4 games play. Then we'll go in and take a quick look at the stats. And I believe at that point we're pretty much done with the tutorial. Yeah, this is pretty much it. You're good to go at this point. There's one caveat which I forgot to bring up and I don't think I looked at, which is if you've imported any batters that have no hits, you're going to run into issues. You're going to get divide by 0 errors. So I found a couple different remedies for that. You can either give the batter a hit and um, give them like a low batting average. So if there's a guy that's like 0 for 3 or something, I just make them like 1 for 10. Um, the other suggestion is just to get rid of guys that have a handful of games. So anybody with like less than, I don't know, say less than 5 games as a batter, pitchers with like 3 games or fewer, I would suggest deleting them from your rosters, and that should alleviate these issues. Um, but that divide by zero error will crash your game here. So that's the only way I've found to avoid that. I don't think that was ever fixed in a patch. We've got a 12 to 10, 13 to 10 ball game here. So in Earl Weaver 1.5, I'm just going to double check something here. Let's see. I want to go in my main folder here. And I want to sort it by date. Yeah. So this in Earl Weaver 1.5, it will not save your box scores. You're just going to go into the commissioner's disk, look at the oh, you can do it through the main game as well, but basically you're going to look at your stats. You're just going to see your accumulated stats. You're not going to be able to look at individual box scores. Earl Weaver Baseball 2, you can, there is a box when you're creating schedules. I believe you go to F1, and there are some additional options there for the size of your pitching rotation, whether or not you want injuries to occur, whether you want if starters are allowed to relieve, and one of the options is to save box scores. So you can do that through Earl Weaver 2. Earl Weaver 2 has its own issues. I've had some problems displaying accumulated stats and standings in that one. So it's kind of a little bit hit and miss. So if you want to look at individual box scores, you would have to use Weaver 2. But let me know if you're able to display your stats properly. It gives me a bunch of either like a stats not saved or some kind of error message, or I'll just see like garbage on the screen when I try to view accumulated stats. Could be some issue specific to my installation as well. So just wondering if anybody else has come across that. All right, we're cranking along here. 6th inning, 7-5 ball game. We are at Briggs Stadium. I believe that's Rube Benton on the mound. 7-5 contest. All right. Charlie Gehringer. I saw Hank Greenberg before listed. Oh, the home team came back. They got an 11-8 lead now. Oh, 11-10. Look at this. Rudy York. 13-10. 14-10. See, can the hometown team do it? Yep. Okay. So you see it briefly flickers the game over screen, and then goes immediately to the next game. So this is how you simulate an entire season. Or like I said, you can just pick a group of games. If you do, like I do, 1 through 10, 11 through 20, and so forth, you just need to keep track of where you're at, because the game doesn't know where you left off. So you need to be certain that, okay, I have 10 games done, so therefore the next time I run this, I want to put in the start date as game number 11. Cullen Bine hit a home run there. St. Louis up 5-1 at New York. Here's DiMaggio. Tommy Henrik. All right. 6-2 lead by the Brownies. Rizzuto the batter. Joe Gordon. Harlan Cliff draws the walk. DiMaggio out. Henrik gets a hit. All reliable. Triple by Silvestri. All right. It's 6-4 ball game now. You can see, forgot to mention over here, you got the pitch count. So even back in 1986, 87, we were tracking the pitch count here. Home team's up 7-6 now. Yankees trying to close it out here with Murphy on the mound, and it looks like they won it 7-6. All right, this should be our final game here for this quick one-day simulation, just to show you how it's done. All right, Indians are up 4-zip, top of the first here, and they've got Bob Feller on the mound. Facing the Pale Hose. All right. And I believe that's Thornton Lee, down 5-zip already. Okay, Feller's back out there facing Appling. A couple of Hall of Famers here. So I have mentioned on several interviews and podcasts recently that Earl Weaver Baseball is my favorite game of all time. And I do enjoy the PC version. That's the one that I play normally. My favorite is the Amiga version. And that one has great graphics and sound. It's got the synthesized speech where you can adjust the pronunciation of the player names. It has everything this has, but it's like really souped up and was made basically just an excellent game. So check it out online. The only reason I don't do simulated seasons with that is that it does not have, to my knowledge, does not have the feature where you can play a schedule automated like this one does. So you have to go in there and play games manually, which takes about 20-25 minutes a game. And for 150 game season, 162 games, just would take way too long. All right, so we wrapped up our first day for the American League, And we did not encounter any divide by zero errors, so that's a good sign. I'm going to run through maybe like a 10 game stretch here just to make sure that we're good on both the AL and NL. And then I'm going to post the files up on my new Facebook group, which is Old Computer Baseball Simulations. I'm going to have files there, hopefully from, definitely from Earl Weaver. I'm going to have the stat tool there. Not the stat tool, the season tool, sorry. So that's where you can locate that. I couldn't find it anywhere else online, but I downloaded it years ago. So hopefully Daniel Gunther doesn't mind me sharing that. I haven't seen any updates to that file since 2008. And any rate, so let's go into stat tool, which is the commissioner's disk, right? And I want to go to advanced stats display. Just to mention here that you can grant days off. If you're playing through a season and you have guys that are either injured or fatigued, and you want to simulate a day off, you can do that. I'm not going to cover it here, but there is a way to draft a league, so that's cool. All right, let's go where I was trying to go to begin with here. So down here, you can look at real stats. I'm going to look at accumulated stats, right? And I want to look at, let's just look at the standings. There we go. All right. So Detroit, Washington, New York, and Chicago all won their first game. All right. We can do team totals. So there's through one game. Got a couple home runs for Detroit. And nothing for the National League yet because I didn't play any National League games yet. And some of these teams gave up a lot of runs in their first game. All right, I can look at, let's do overall stats. I'm not going to do all the teams, but let's just do one. All right, St. Louis. So we can see Johnny Berardino hit a triple, scored 2 runs. Cullenbine was 4 for 4, homer and 3 ribbies. All right. And even pitchers batting here. And here's our totals, team totals here. All right. And then it will show the pitching lines. So if any of your positional players pitched in any games, it will show them up here. And then your pitchers down here. So Gale House went the distance, gave up 7 runs and 10 hits in 8 innings. All right. And then you can go to the next team, Boston. And it says print this team. You're just printing it to the screen. All right. So Johnny Peacock, 5 for 6, 4 ribbies. Wow. All right. Ted Williams, 3 for 3, getting off to a good start there. You will notice that the game rounds down, so nobody's batting 1,000 here. It's 999. Okay, so let's get out of there. Cancel. And now I could do, let's change my minimums to 3. And minimum innings, we'll do 3 here. List length you can mess with. Let's say I want to see top 25 players. All right. You can say whether you want to include people with zeros or not in a given stat. Highest to lowest, lowest to highest. Lowest to highest you'd want to use for like ERA. You can sort by position. I'm just going to sort overall. So let's do by batting average. All right. And so interestingly here, it does show them batting 1,000. So I'm not sure why the 999 is on the other screen. Anyhow, right? But like here, this could be 667. All right, let's do home runs. You get the idea here. All right, so these are the guys that homered on the first day. All right, that's pretty much it. Get out of Commissioner and return to DOS. And I'll just show you the National League as we're signing off here. We'll do same deal there. 1941 NLSC 1 1. All right. Now the code wheel, it wants Ebbets Field. A5. Finding A5. Where is it? There it is. And right field. And it looks like a 29089. There we go. Cool. All right. Now we're playing our first series of NL games. All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for me here. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. Or track me down, like I said, Facebook group, Old Computer Baseball Simulations, to download these files. If you are interested in contributing any season discs that you have created, please feel free to do so when you join that group. You can upload them to the files section. And I think that's all I have. So thanks again. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And keep playing ball. Take care, and we'll see you soon.